name is Ryan, and this is What's Hot in Hamilton Live.
I'm Ashley Yoder.
I'm Wayne Balash.
Hey, I'm Mitch Caskey.
I'm Adam Jones. Make sure you go to YouTube and subscribe so you don't miss an episode. Today we're talking about historic homes. We have a lot of those in Hamilton, and we have our inspectors here and a real estate agent that focuses on historic homes. Ashley, you started the Facebook group, Ohio's Love for Historic Homes. What drove you to do that, and what do you think it is about this area that wants people to be involved in that?
Thanks, Adam. Honestly, I think that a lot of people are really craving uniqueness and character. A lot of these newer homes don't have that, and these houses tell a story. You know, you have a house that was built in 1900. Who's all lived there? What happened there? I think it's very interesting.
I agree. I seen on Facebook the other day something about, I don't know if I'll say it correctly, like the Bennington house. I live in Hamilton, but I just want to rent an Airbnb there just to find out what it was the experience of.
Yeah, it's a phenomenal property. It's the Benninghofen house, and
Yes.
I believe they have an Airbnb there, and they also do some classes.
Ashley, we often hear about the charm of old houses. That also comes with a huge set of responsibilities. Are homeowners today ready to roll up their sleeves and take that kind of responsibility on?
You know, honestly, I think that they are. It depends on the buyer, of course. Sometimes they're wanting to just put a white coat of paint on everything and make it fresh and new. But a lot of people are looking for those nice pieces, like the woodwork and the historic charm that comes with these houses compared to, you know, the typical gray on gray on gray.
And I would assume someone looking into a historic home already knows they're getting into that kind of responsibility.
Yeah, there's a lot to do with responsibility when it comes to like repairs and maintenance. Things like repointing foundations, making sure that your draining is proper compared to what it was back in the day compared to today. Honestly, the responsibilities are immense when it comes to old homes. These properties are hundreds of years old, if not, you're taking care of them, and you have wood that might be rotting, you might have a foundation that leaks. These are all essential parts of owning a home and making sure that you're maintaining it.
But at the end of the day, they're getting a piece of history.
They are, and you're not going to get that anywhere else.
You're not.
So Mitch, walking into a home built in 1900 is a huge difference than a new construction home or even one built 20 years ago. Tell us about the old house playbook and your view on that.
Sure. First off, thanks for having me. The old house playbook are things that we commonly find on almost every older house. That's including asbestos, knob and tube, lead water service line, foundation issues and water intrusion, termite damage, microbial growth, and sometimes even pests in the attic and sewer line issues. So buyers should adjust their expectations by understanding they're not buying a new house, right? And some uneven flooring and settlement cracks are common.
A lot of buyers panic when they see a long inspection report. How do you separate the flaws and the failures?
Well, the first thing we communicate with our clients is that on older homes, we generally find many more defects than on newer homes. Also, throughout our reports, we use a rating system. 3 main categories in our rating system are minor, moderate, and significant. We find that as a key tool for the clients to use as they go through the inspection report to help them understand the more severe issues and things that they should address sooner rather than later.
So that not to overwhelm them.
Absolutely.
So with basements, with newer homes, we expect a dry sealed box. What can people expect when they're buying a historic home with a stacked stone foundation?
Well, a stone foundation was actually never designed to be watertight. These stone foundations are 18 to 30 inches wide, and they're actually built with lime mortar, which is actually porous, designed to let water pass through and breathe. It also prevents hydrostatic pressure. So it's critical, even though they understood the hydrostatic pressure, that you have a dehumidifier in these older basements, because once humidity levels reach above 60%, you can get microbial growth, which we often see in older homes.
So let's talk about the sealing myth. There is a misconception that sealing the water can actually do more harm. Is that true?
Sealing and waterproofing the walls can be aesthetically pleasing in a basement. However, that can conceal defects. Water can become trapped behind the walls, which can facilitate deterioration as a result of hydrostatic pressure from the exterior foundation walls around the perimeter of the home.
But when talking about stone foundations, what is the most important part if you can't really do anything on the inside? I guess everything starts on the outside. So what can people do to prevent that?
Absolutely. So 1 inch of rain outside on a 1,000 square foot house is 600 gallons of water flowing towards your foundation. So you want to make sure that your gutter downspouts are draining away from the foundation, ideally 4 to 6 feet away. So managing grading and gutters is absolutely critical. Grading should slope 6 inches away, the first 10 feet away from the foundation. Now in older homes, managing downspouts and proper grading isn't always possible. So sometimes French drains or underground downspouts are an option. So just 1 inch of rain outside on a 1,000 square foot roof is 600 gallons of water flowing towards your foundation. So making sure your downspouts drain away from your foundation, ideally 4 to 6 feet away, and your grading should slope 6 inches the first 10 feet away from the foundation. Now that's not always an option in certain areas of Hamilton. So sometimes French drains and underground downspouts may be required.
Like even like with sidewalks and things like that right up to the house. And
Yep.
okay.
Divert your downspouts to the backyard. Or
I feel like I'm
neighbor's yard.
talking to scientists.
You are.
Another buzzword that scares buyers is knob and tube wiring. Is the presence of active knob and tube an automatic deal breaker, or is it manageable?
I wouldn't say that it's an automatic deal breaker. I think the most important step is for us identifying it as inspectors, because it's often not disclosed. You know, sometimes we only find maybe an isolated area, which is a small section of active knob and tube still, isolated in a wall cavity or even in older attics. So those things should be looked at by a licensed electrician for further evaluation. Some insurance companies will not even provide policies or coverage without confirmation in writing that it's been removed from the home.
So talking about the scary stuff, asbestos and lead are two things that are trigger words, or two trigger words for buyers. Explain a little bit about those two things and how the buyer should handle it.
Sure. So the most common area to find asbestos is usually in the basement around exposed ductwork. Not only is it used for insulation, but it was actually used for fireproofing too. When oil furnaces were commonly used back then, they produced much higher heat than gas furnaces and heat pumps do today. So usually the best course of action is to have it removed, have the exposed ductwork replaced, and then where it enters a wall cavity, just to have it encapsulated. As far as a lead water service line goes, there's two ways of identifying that. If the magnet won't stick, or if it has a bulb, that's one easy way. Some cities actually have a lead replacement program. I believe Hamilton
does, yeah.
Yep. And oftentimes you can actually test for lead, and it won't test elevated. So, but it could test elevated tomorrow. So getting a whole house water filter is a common option. Just because you have a lead water service line doesn't mean you need replacement.
So kind of like with radon, with how it can test different one day to the next, and depending on the flow.
If the water's sitting stagnant, it might test elevated the next day.
That's true, and then only about 10% of homes nationwide that have the presence of a lead line actually test positive for lead contamination in the water.
Wow.
Yeah, we could try it again.
Ashley just dealt with that.
I
with
did.
Somebody that was worried about it. Her son tested high for lead, and she tested the water, and there was nothing there.
Yeah.
Ashley, for someone looking to buy their first historic home, what's a resource that they can go through to find? Besides your Facebook page, what can they do?
Honestly, one of the best things you can do is get involved in your local historic society. We have a great one here in Butler County, and get to learn a little bit about the town that you're living in. You might be really surprised by what you find out. Like, perfect example, I just found out that the Fort Knox safe was actually built here in Hamilton, which is a pretty phenomenal thing. And then on top of that, I'm also starting my own podcast next month. It's going to be called the Front Porch Archives. So come on, follow us along, and come follow these guys, Direct Home Inspections, because they're going to provide you with a lot of information about home.
Well,
homes.
congratulations.
Thank you.
Speaking about front porches, if you were standing on the front porch of a 100-year-old house, what would you guys say, and what advice would you give to the potential buyer?
The advice I would give them is the first most important step is hiring a home inspector that's knowledgeable and experienced in older historical homes. It can help provide them with information and guide them through the process.
Another piece of advice I would recommend too is to get a sewer scope. These older houses commonly have a clay or cast iron line exceeding their service life. So they frequently have issues, and sometimes a full replacement can exceed the cost of a roof replacement or foundation repairs. Most of the time the issues are manageable. Sometimes they just need hydrojetted. So it's very important to get a sewer scope, and we do that service as well.
Had quite a few issues found on homes that you guys have done sewer scopes on, and definitely saved my buyers thousands of dollars. So.
Yeah.
These cast
Like
iron
the house
pipes,
I'm
they
buying?
rub
Yeah.
prices down.
Yeah, in older homes in this part of town, it's 50-50.
Right.
You know, I'd say it's about 50% of the homes have significant sewer issues going on that definitely need further evaluation. For sure.
Even if there's no trees in the yard, there could have been a tree
Yeah.
there, just like the house on Mitchell Avenue.
Right.
There's a tree there in the Google picture, but there's no trees there now.
Right. Right.
You can
Lots
see a
of
low
things to
spot on the
consider.
sidewalk.
It's not always about the condition of the line now, it's about the future.
Right.
Yep.
What's going to happen down the road is further deterioration.
Right.
So,
So Ashley, for all the curious minds out there that want a historic home, where can they find the information to contact you?
Absolutely. So a lot of my business is on Facebook. You can find me by searching Ashley Yoder or Ashley Yoder Realtor. And also I am all over TikTok at Cincy Realty Lady.
And what about for you guys?
So we're on Facebook. You can Google us as Direct Home Inspections, or it's just Facebook at Direct Home Inspections. We also service in Cincinnati and Dayton area. We have a YouTube channel as well. And our website's dhicincy.com.
And if you want to see some funny videos, definitely follow Mitch, because he's got the little pointer that he goes through on the inspections. Actually, how I started using them years ago was he was doing a video on one of my listings. So and now I've got the best working for me.
I've learned to wait now a couple of weeks to a month till after the house is off the market
Right.
before I post a video.
Well, thank you all for joining us and for all the information. And get the historic home on Princeton Road we have listed sold. We have open
6039
houses.
Princeton Road.
Thanks for having us.
yeah, we're glad to be here today. It's great.
It's a good
Thank
time.
you.
Hamilton, thank you for joining us here live on What's Hot in Hamilton. Thank you, Wayne. Thank you, Mitch. Thank you, Ashley. And of course, my co-host, Adam. And you can always find us on our YouTube channel, What's Hot in Hamilton.
From local shops to packed out rooms, small businesses making big time moves, restaurants,